Hey guys, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day. I apologise for the noise of the fan in the background if you guys can hear it. It is so warm here in the workshop today. It's like a greenhouse, so I've got to have a fan on. It's like a big industrial unit that's metal blades spinning around. Otherwise, I just struggle with the heat in here today. It's just too hot. And he says, as he's got a cup of coffee on the side. But yeah, it's just too hot here in the workshop. It's like 28 degrees Celsius, been here all day. I've got the door shut. I have had the door open all day, but I've got the door shut now purely because I don't want people to be able to see me outside when I'm streaming. So yeah, but it's getting a little bit too warm in here at the minute. Summer in the UK is never my favourite season. Let's put it that way. Very big thanks to the folks that are here. So thank you very much for Geo. He got first today. He said, welcome fellow nerds. So thank you very much to not G10 or Geo. Anaki's here as well. He says, good evening, Jake. Good evening, Anarchy. Hope you're doing well, good sir. Kajahata is here as well, waving, as is Akri, saying hey as well. Miyasa says, evening, Jay. What are you printing there? So I'm printing a few things actually. Let me make one of these bigger for you so you can see. So these are actual the tubs based on different sizes for a series of drawers that I've got. I'll show you in a second what they look like. Let me grab some for you. I'll show you what they look like up close. Excuse me, my hay fever is so bad today, I apologise guys. So I'm printing a load of these little tubs. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of screws and little odds and ends, and I have a huge set of architect's drawers, a plan chest, and I basically made these to fit inside them. They're exactly the right depth of the drawer, they fit just nicely. I made them in all sorts of different sizes, so you've got like a 2-unit one. Some of them are even multicolored, so I can have different things in there and I know what's in there if it's special. Yeah, I've got loads and loads of these. So I've got a whole drawer full. In terms of units, I should have 300 of these units. This is a 1 unit. I should have 300 of that in the drawer. Yeah, it's a thing and it's going well. They're all designed so that they stack together. We've got 3 ones, we've got ones that are size of 4 units and all sorts of different things. All sorts of different things. But basically they're going to hold screws, they're going to hold tools, they're going to hold bits, they're going to hold everything I could possibly need for any keyboard build I have, or any product that I stock in the workshop that needs spare parts or anything else. So yeah, the drawer is like nearly 6 foot long, and it's well, it's actually about 5 feet deep is the drawer, but I'm only going to go about 3 feet deep into it with the pods. So yeah, that's what we're printing. So we've got 2 printers going at the moment, both printing. Though, as you can see here on this one, we've actually got a bank of 4 printing together, a bank of 3 printing together across the back, and then 4 1 units as well. And then on the golden printer, well, the other printer that's printing in the golden filament, we've got 2 2Us, and then we've got 5 1Us printing at the minute as well. So they've been printing for about 4 days solid now, but they're getting there. They're getting there slowly. Prepared for any keyboard emergency, something like that, I apologise as well, guys. My hay fever is really bad today. So I do apologise and excuse myself. But today we're making plates. So I ran a group buy back in February for POM plates and CF plates. The CF plates are about to hit the workshop next week, so I now need to catch up and make sure all of the POM plates are ready. Now, for those of you who don't know, I started to make these on stream about 5 weeks ago, and then I slipped a disc in my back, and I've not been able to walk or move very well since then. And I haven't been able to lift material in and out of the laser cutter, but I'm up to speed and able to do certain bits and pieces now. So I'm back to being able to use the laser cutter. So it's now time to catch up and make sure that we're doing everything correctly. So yeah. Jace is here as well. He says, hey Jay, it's the fellow Yorkshireman that emailed you the other day. I have a few people email me saying they were from Yorkshire in the past couple of weeks, but I think I remember which one you were. I get a lot of emails, unfortunately, and I can't often give them the time that I wish I could to each one. But yeah, thank you very much for emailing me and letting me know from Yorkshire. The workshop is open to visitors. If anyone wants to come and visit and you're in the area, then feel free, just drop me a message beforehand, let me know you're coming. I'm here most days, Monday to Friday, usually Saturdays and Sundays as well, but Monday to Friday most definitely between 9 and 5, so people are more than welcome to pop in and visit and see what we've got here and what we do. it's pretty much open. So I can't show you the details here, but I do have a stack of orders. These are all customer orders. The plan is to try and get through all of these sheets of paper today on the stream, instead of just doing one order like we did last week, which was like 6 or 7 plates. We're going to try and bash through all of these orders today and get them all ready. Now, I can't show you the order details, and I can't tell you who they're for, or I can't even tell you what keyboards the plates are for, but you are more than welcome to try and guess in chat. So if you see me cutting a plate and you think it's for X keyboard, I can't confirm or deny, but you can guess. Simple as that. So as you can see, we've already got a piece of material loaded in the machine. It's already had one plate cut out of it because I've been cutting plates all day long whilst we've been running the workshop and doing packaging and everything else. 600 orders in 2 days we've packed. 600 orders in 2 days, which is kind of nuts. It's kind of crazy. But yeah. We've already cut one plate on this piece of material. We're going to try and fit another 3 plates into it if we can, or if not, we'll definitely get 2. We'll get another one underneath, then we'll turn the workpiece around and we'll do another one across the top on that thin bit. So you'll see that we'll try and do another piece here, we'll try and get another piece in just here, and then we'll turn the workpiece around and we'll try and get another piece in just there. We always cut horizontally on the laser for 2 reasons. One, it's slightly out in terms of being level front to back, so if you have a long piece, it does get slightly out of alignment front to back. Now that's a thing I can fix, and I will do that at some point. The other thing as well is that if you cut with the parts turned around horizontally, sometimes if there's an issue with the laser and the CNC instructions don't go through correctly, it will make more of a mess of the work material than it does if you do it horizontally. So it's more about being efficient and keeping space more than anything else. Arcana, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you being here, man. Good to see you. Silent Shadows, thank you so much for the follow as well. The Vesta board in the top corner, which way is it there? It may update, it might update. The Vesta board might update. I'm trying to get the API from Twitch so that it updates on the Vesta board for subs, for follows, and for donations and all that kind of stuff. It's not quite there yet, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it will work. Ordered the new switch puller and opener last week. Dude, we had so many orders. We've still got another 350-ish orders to pack tomorrow. Like, I know I try and ship everything within 3 working days. This is the first time it's going to push me. Like, most of them sold on Saturday. I'm hoping tomorrow, which is the 3rd working day, we can get the rest out. But there is a stack of orders, and it's like a whole ream of A4 paper that we had to print out for all of the orders because I have to legally include an invoice when I ship them. So yeah, like, things have been just nuts. It's been real nuts. Having to order more boxes and packages and all sorts. Would you guys like to see one of the switch openers live? Do you want me to show you guys those? Because we have them in different colors. I can get one and show you. Okay. So this is one of the switch openers. They come in these little cool Wook Studio boxes. This one is pink, as it says on the back. It's got the dot next to pink. And you take open the box, and the first thing you get inside is a little felt bag, which also has the Wook logo on, which is pretty cute. They're all the same color. It's not pink because the opener's pink. You don't get a green one or a black one if you order a different color thing. All of the pouches are pink. And then inside, we have the little bear-shaped Wook switch openers. This is the pink one. It comes apart. It's sealed around the sides. Logo's only on one side's flat. These are held together magnetically, and inside you have an MX switch opener, which is super cute. And then on the other side, you have a Kale switch opener. So there you go. That's what you get. They're made of aluminium. And I apologize, guys. Hay fever, it's terrible. I can't breathe properly, so I do apologize. But yeah, there you go. Made of CNC aluminium. These are all aluminium. They're super, super cool and super cute. The little bear design it's both functional and it's cute as well. So it looks cute, but it actually helps you when you're holding the switch in there, because you've got a little ridge here that you can put your finger between, and when you're pushing the switch down, it just gives you something so this isn't going to twist out of the way, because the ears help you hold it, I find. But yeah, really cute and really nice and well worth the money. So there you go. Almost sold out. Ahmed's here as well. He says, hey Jay, hope you're well and in good health. Yes, my back's getting better. It's slowly getting better. It's not 100% yet. I can't lift anything heavy, which means that the bathroom renovation that you guys might have been following on Insta is still on pause. I can't lift the tiles to tile the bathroom at the minute, but hopefully soon. We'll see how that goes. Drexler's here as well. Hey man, good evening. Good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Okay. So let's load up the software, the Fusion software, the Lightburn software that we're going to use today, and I'll show you guys how that works. There we go. So you can see we've already got the plate file that we've cut out earlier on. What we're going to do is we're going to get the next plate file ready. So you guys won't be able to see this in detail, but I'm just going to get the next plate file ready. I have to check my paperwork and make sure I've got the right one. Okay. So I'm going to drop this file in, and you'll see that a file's now appeared in here. Now we know that we need to make sure it's in the right position. So we've already got a piece cut out, and we know that the yellow is the piece that's cut out. So I'm just going to move this so it's in roughly underneath where it'll be on the piece of material, on the workpiece that's in the machine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that for POM. So these colors that you can see across the top bar, those colors just up here, if you can see the mouse guys, those colors are all different settings and differentiate different cutting speeds and angles and all sorts of different temperatures and powers and ratios based on what material I'm cutting. So if I wanted to set it to black, that would cut 10mm thick aluminium. If I wanted to etch aluminium, I could etch the design into aluminium, or 10mm acrylic, sorry, this would etch into acrylic. I can cut felt if I make it red. But today we're cutting POM, which is kind of like a greenish yellow color. Now we don't want to cut the same plate at the top again, so we're going to remove that. And the other thing that we're going to do as well is we're actually going to flip this plate round. So you can see now it's in the correct orientation. You've got the ANSI enter on the right hand side, and you've got the full left shift on the left hand side. Now because the laser kind of melts through the plastic a little bit, what we're actually going to do is we're going to flip that plate over so that from the other side you won't be able to see the melt marks. So the side that goes down towards the PCB, that will be the side that has the melt marks on it. And the top side will be nice and clear. So I'm going to flip that over. And there you go, you can see that that's basically now cutting from the top side down. Once we've done that, we're going to click the send button on the far right side of the screen. That's going to send it over to the laser cutter. And then I'm going to pop over to the laser cutter. And on the laser cutter, I can't show you this guys, but there's a setting. And it basically just means that I'm making sure that all of the correct parameters are being carried across to the machine. Nice and simple. Okay, and that's it. We're done in Lightburn for now. Let's pop over to the other camera so you guys can see it up close. So there's the laser bed, you can see it up close. The next thing I'm going to do is frame where the laser is going to cut. So what you're going to do is you're going to see where the laser is going to cut this file out. And that red dot is pretty much where the laser is going to cut. We can see it's going to cut nicely in this area. It's not going to overlap lines we've already cut, but it's not going to quite give us enough material on the bottom to get another one through. We'll start that going anyway, and that's now going to cut, so you guys can watch the laser cut through the material. Zombie's here as well, he waves. Hey man, good to see you. Meow asks, do those material settings come baked into the software or the custom that you've set up? So no, every laser is different. You could buy the same laser from from the same company. We could buy the same laser at the same time, Meow. You could buy exactly the same model, no difference in power output, no difference in properties or anything at all. And the issue you have is that both the lasers would have different settings for different materials. So one laser might need 12% power to cut through a part, one laser might need 10% power to cut through a part. It's always different. So what you have to do is set all of those parameters yourself, and you have to make sure that you control all of those parameters across the laser's life cycle as well. So over time, the laser's power is going to degrade, and you need to make sure you're accounting for that as well. But every material is different. Every manufacturer of material is different. If I go to a different POM supplier, it's often very different settings that I need to use and tweak. So yeah, it's not the same from laser to laser, unfortunately. It is very, very different. And the only way to find out those settings that you need is by trial and error. There's some good templates that you can use to kind of get a good idea of where you need to be, but you generally need to work away from those and tie in your own, kind of like nail down and narrow down on each material that you use. And as I say, different batches of the same material can need different parameters. So you have to always make sure you order more material than you need, so you've got plenty of material to test out the settings with. D3VS, I don't have a command for laser, but this is a Chinese red and black 150 watt CO2 laser. I've had it about 10 months, maybe, not quite that long, 8 months, and I've probably put about 100 hours into maintenance for it already. AKB James is here, he says good evening James. Good evening Jay, good evening James. I get my words out in the right order. Zakiria says, I know this isn't what the stream is about, but would you be open to answering a question about the load time? Sure, ask away. Ask away. Devs, okay, I get it, I get it. Ahmed says, any info on upcoming switches into the store? Yeah, so I actually took delivery of about 60,000 switches earlier on this week. We're going to have to recut this file, I can already tell. Yeah, we took 60,000 switches into the store earlier on this week. I can't tell you about all of them, but what I can tell you is that we will have alpacas and silent alpacas live by the end of the week. So Saturday, Sunday, sometime around there, we're going to be putting alpacas and silent alpacas into the store. The rest of the switches I can't talk about just yet, but there will be some of the EV01 switches and some Lion switches as well that will make their way onto the store in the next couple of weeks. So just keep an eye out for those. Okay, I can tell we're already going to have to recut this file because it's actually popping the parts out, which means it's getting too hot. So we'll see how it comes out. We'll let it cut because it's used the material up now anyway. So we'll see how it comes out, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have to recut this file. Pretty sure. Let me zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit better. There we go. And again, I apologize, guys. My hay fever is going nuts today, so I do apologize. Ruben is here as well. Hey, Ruben, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm keen to catch up and watch one of your streams again soon. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Go and give Ruben a follow. He's a really good streamer for keyboard content as well. Zakiria says, what are the magnets planned to be made out of? I just wonder how you could circumvent corrosion and the feel springiness of the board will change over time. So the magnets that we're using are rated for 50 years at their current tolerances. So I don't expect anyone will be using a lodestone if they buy one in 50 years. I suspect that most of them will be long gone and will be using some sort of new input methodology by that point, but they will last 50 years, that's what they're rated for. And in reality, they'll probably last a lot longer than that. Dr. Huru, thank you very much for following. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, so I'm not too worried about the magnets in the lodestone causing an issue in any meaningful time. After 50 years, they should be at still 90% of their magnetized power. You're welcome for the raid, man. You're welcome. Always good to raid a fellow keyboard streamer. So yeah, so you guys can see where it's flipped that one switch cut out, it's flipped it up. It usually means that there's too much power and something's popped underneath and it's pushed it up, it's forced it to push up. Sometimes it can just be an air bubble that's underneath the workpiece, and when the laser hits it, it just pops because the air burns because the laser is incredibly hot. But other times it can mean that there's a problem with material itself, like there's some kind of like issue inside the material and things. So we'll see how this one comes out, but this might need to be recut. And as you can see, guys, it is cutting all of the switches first. It will cut everything inside the perimeter of the part that we want to do first. And that's so that if it cuts the perimeter and the material warps from the heat, so if you cut the outside first and the material warped and it twisted or it changed or it bent or it bowed, then when you cut the switch areas, they wouldn't be in the correct place. They'd be slightly out of position. So we always cut the switch area first. You can kind of see it lifting just there where it's doing that part now. It's actually the part that it's cutting around. It's like a thin strip that's cut out, but that thin strip is actually bent up. The rest of the material stayed the same. That thin strip is bent up. So it just makes sure that we're not getting areas where the switches are going to be out of alignment. but this is quite a complex plate. There's lots of small cuts on this one. So this is going to need a fair bit of post-processing. The other part about laser cutting as well is everyone thinks you take the parts off the machine and it's done. It really isn't. It's not that simple, unfortunately. This will need some post-processing, but it's almost finished now, so we'll see how it goes. If you guys have got any questions on laser cutting, calibration, or indeed anything keyboard related, please do ask. I'm an open book when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, so now it's cutting one of those thin relief cuts on the edge. And it's going to do the one, I think it's done the one on the other edge already, but once it's done all of these, it's going to cut the outside edge of the keyboard. Mio says, what happens in post-processing? This is making me glad I haven't gone to a makerspace to try and laser cut something out of my depth. So a couple of things. What you see on the screen that looks a little bit like smoke, it's not actually smoke, it's basically dust. Now POM gives off a lot of dust when you cut it, and that dust settles back onto the part. And so the first thing we do is we put it in an ultrasonic cleaner. We put about 10 plates into racks inside the ultrasonic cleaner, and that will give them a clean. It will get rid of all of that dust. And I'll show you on this plate when it's finished up close what that looks like. The second thing we do is we then test it for fitment and make sure that switches fit in there correctly before we ship anything out. Sometimes the laser gets things wrong, sometimes I get things wrong, sometimes the maker of the plate gets things wrong. Sometimes things just don't cut right. It all depends. So we always test it and make sure that switches hold in. The third thing as well is that when you see I pick the part up in a few seconds, there we go, the bleeps, it's ready. When I pick the part up, a lot of the parts will fall out and stay behind in the machine. So you'll see that in a second. As I pick the part up here, you'll see that a lot of the switch cutouts have remained there. However, a lot of the thinner parts that you can see on camera here, these will just remain in the part and you have to manually remove them. And sometimes they do get a little bit stuck because they're actually partly embedded into the part itself. Let's switch cameras back and I'll show you what I mean. So if you look closely, you'll see that some of the really thin parts like here or here, these remain inside and you have to pop them out. So that's a little bit of post-processing work as well. And if I can get the light just right, you might be able to see that there's like a thin film, where are we, all around the edges of the switches. And as I wipe, it kind of goes away. And then there's like a little bit of dust on my finger. It's hard to show you guys on camera, but it is there. Doctor Who, there you go. There is you are now immortalized on the Vesta board. So basically post-processing is to tidy up all of that and then we give it a clean as well. So there's lots of different parts to pop out. And it's really simple. You just hold them and push them and then they come out. It's dead simple, but it's just another thing that we need to do. And the reason for that is because the gaps are so small. As it cuts one side, it cuts it cleanly. And as it goes around the other side, it actually cuts again and it melts the first part back together just because of the heat. So it's not fully solidified in place, but you just have to pop it out and be careful with it. And sometimes you just need to make sure that you calibrate the really small, really fine details so that one side will cut and then it will move away from that part from, you know, a good 10 minutes and then come back to that side and cut the other side of it just so that everything's had time to cool down. Scaleware89, thank you very much for the follow. Detom, thank you very much for the follow. Darkcasters as well, thank you guys. I appreciate that so much, thank you. Where's the hat from? I actually don't know. This was something I picked up on holiday a long time ago. Not really sure the name of the shop. Don't know, couldn't tell you. Pokemon Kids here. Sup Jay, how's it going? Hey man, you might recognize this. Ugh. How cool is this? There we go. 3D printed little monitor holder. Pokemon Kid in chat, he designed these. And I've 3D printed a few of them now. This is one that really rock solid. I've got another one in a different color here. How cool are they? Designed for a little screen to sit in. Little screen sits in here. It's like a little ledge on the inside that you can just, you just see here that the screen presses up against. Pretty cool. Ferry9 says, do you do commissions? If so, how do I inquire? Drop an email to j@prototypist.net, or as AKB James says, drop him a message because he manages the Prototypist commissions queue. So yeah, reach out. Could you cut several sheets at once stacked on top of one another? Yes, although there are limitations to that. Like I mentioned, that these really, really small parts like here, that went in my coffee. Like here, you can see this little gap melt back together. If you cut multiple layers of material at the same time, they would fuse together and stick together anyway. So whilst you could theoretically cut through it or cut thick material, I can cut up to 10mm thick acrylic on the machine. Cutting multiple plates in layers at a time wouldn't be a good idea. It just would not be a good idea. Pokemon Kid says, is that my one? Yeah, those two are just two that I printed off afterwards. I was expecting some other people to ask, but no one else did, so I just printed off a couple spare just in case anyone else does ask. I know a few people have got them now. Okay, so I'm just going to pop all of these parts out on this piece, and then I can put that order down, and it's done. And then once we've done that, we'll move on to the next order. So while I'm doing that, I'll try and answer a few questions. If you guys have got any questions, please do ask away. I'm just popping out all of these little tiny pieces now. This is the time-consuming part of it. Other than the fact that we've already been through all of the files and calibrated all of the files, so what you see here is maybe only the last 10% of the work that's needed to actually get the plates made. Wayward Fox says, hi, first time catching a stream. Thank you, man, for being here. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the content. As I say, we are laser cutting today. These are keyboard parts. This specifically is a plate cutting stream. We're catching up on some orders from the store, and we're just making sure that we've got all of the parts cut and ready for customer orders. This is from a collective group buy that we ran back in February. The other parts that we made were all carbon fiber, and they've just come back from the manufacturer. I don't manufacture carbon fiber here. But there we go, guys. That's the plate completed. It's now got all of the little cutouts pushed out. It's looking pretty neat and tidy. It's looking really good. You see marks like this just here. That's just off the laser. That all cleans up, and this is why we ultrasonically clean them as well. As you can see, if I give that a wipe, it starts to come away. We just need to get rid of all of that. That's basically from the laser, and you can see on the bed there's other materials being cut there. Sometimes I leave just behind a residue and it heats up, it just makes a mark. So we just need to make sure we're accounting for that. Okay, I'm just going to put this order to one side now that it's done. Can't show you guys the details of the order, but there we go. That one's now done. Oh, excuse me. Miyaso says, I think you should still have a monitor for each letter, a JAE. That seems a little bit ostentatious, even for me. Perhaps not. Arcane says, do you do a 3D print service? I've been trying to find someone to get cheap prototypes of a case made. If you want something 3D printed, I can probably do it for you. My 3D printers aren't huge, so it depends on the size of the parts you need and the orientation that we want to print them in, but I can always give it a go. And if we need to, we can split the case up into multiple parts and do a couple of bits put together. But I'm more than happy to take a look. We get some pretty good results out of our 3D printers. This is all two-tone. Pretty solid, and these are on draft speed, so these aren't the highest detail that we can go. This is probably a bit better in terms of the detail that we can get. So there we go. Right, let's clean up the bed and get the next workpiece underway. So as I say, what we're going to do is we're just going to clear out all of these little parts here. These are the bits that were left over from the previous plate. And then once we're going to take this out, we're going to turn the workpiece on its side, and we're going to put it into portrait rather than landscape mode. And the hope is that then the next file that we need to cut will fit across the top of this workpiece. If it doesn't, then we'll move on to another fresh piece. Keep this to one side for the next part that does fit. And let me know, guys, if the music's too loud or too quiet. I can hear it just nicely, but you guys might not be able to. So let me know if that needs an adjustment. Excuse me, my hay fever is so bad today, guys. I do apologise. I don't wish hay fever on anyone because it's not pleasant. Okay, so that's the work area cleaned up. That's all of the ends gone. Going to move the magnets out of the way that we used to hold the piece in place, and now we're going to turn the workpiece and orientate it into portrait mode. And the hope now is that we'll be able to get another piece across here, but we'll see. in a second. I'm just going to hold some magnets, use some magnets to hold it down. Just make sure it's not going to move around. There we go. Excuse me, I'm so full of hay fever, I do apologise. Right, okay, so let's see what the next file is. Let's load back up into Lightburn. And I'm going to try and drag in the next file. It does mean I need to check something, so give me a second, guys. I need to find the correct file. Okay. Okay, I'm going to drag that into the software. You guys will see that appear. I'm just going to move it so it's out of the way so that we can see exactly what we're doing. We're going to make it a file that we need to cut. Now I can already tell instantly that this is not going to fit on the workpiece that we've got in the machine right now, so we're going to take that out. We've set it to cut into our POM settings, so that's all nice and sorted. Now we're just going to position it on the board, and we're going to make sure it's the right way round and the correct orientation. So we're going to arrange that. So we're going to rotate it until it's the correct orientation. And then you can see the ANSI enter is on the right hand side of the board, which is as you would look at it top down. But we're actually going to flip that over, and we're going to make sure that it's flipped horizontally. So we're cutting from the bottom side. So the top side is what's going to be flat into the base of the machine. And that's how we're going to cut it. So now that we've done that, we know that that's all there. We're going to send that over to the machine. And now that's already banked in the machine, we don't need to worry about Lightburn for a few minutes. We can get rid of that. Let's flip back over to the camera. Okay, so now I know that this piece of material isn't going to be big enough to hold it, and I'll show you that, guys. So I'm just going to configure the machine now. There we go. And if I frame this part now, you'll see that it's never going to fit in that gap. The laser wants to go all the way around it. So we're going to take this piece of material out, and we're going to replace it with a new piece. We'll keep the piece of material though, because we'll definitely be able to use it for another part. Put in the new material. We're going to pin this in place with some magnets. Making sure everything's in correctly. Okay, and now we're going to frame that, and we're going to see if that will fit. That all looks really good, so now we're going to start that going. Just adjust the camera, guys, so you can see that just a touch better. There we go. Just zoom in a bit as well. There we go. So you guys should be able to see that cutting nice and clearly now. He says it'll get closer as it comes forward. The camera will focus. The camera will focus. There you go. You can kind of see it back there. Let's turn the red light off. Maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Just because we're cutting in the depths of the machine here. So as it comes closer, you guys will see it, be able to see it a little better. Yeah, maybe we'll be able to do a 45% case. You'll have to send me an email with the files on it, and I'll take a look. The gold POG, yeah, the gold prints really, really nicely. It's on the 3D printer right now. It's Prusament, and I think it's called, I can't remember what it is called actually. But it's not gold, I think it's called bronze. But you can see it 3D printing on the printer right now. There you go. It's the gold printing there as well. When is Blackout Edition? Soon, sooner than you'd think. Not too far away. Ever considered getting a keyboard themed tattoo? I have loads of tattoos, I'm covered in them. And yes, I have considered getting a keyboard one, and it will happen. I'll actually be getting 2 in the near future, I think. So yeah, that's not too far away. Zakiri says, maybe a dumb question, but what's the process before this bit to make a plate file so that it can be laser cut? So it really depends on the plate file and what you want. Sometimes the customer would like it to have a certain layout, which means we take the original file and we make sure it's adjusted for that. There's also certain tolerances that the machine can and can't cut, so we have to make sure that the plate's adjusted for that, depending on the material process going through. So if it's CNC, it's different to it being laser cut, and carbon fiber is different to aluminium, for example. There's all sorts of different restrictions based on the material and the process that's going to make it. You also need to make sure you check the scale as well. Lots of CAD programs output at a scale 10 times the actual size of the part, and the units are wrong depending on the software that you pick it up in. So we always have to check them and make sure that they're going to work with the laser cutter correctly. And then there's also the depth of the laser cutter to calibrate as well. So the Z height as well, the bed itself will move up and down. And if we move the bed down, then it's going to make it much more unfocused. So the laser is basically a beam. And to focus a laser beam follows like a Coke bottle shape. It goes like that. The closer you get to the laser, the top of the laser where it comes out the beam, it's fat. And then as you get a little bit further away, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And then it gets to a microscopic point, which is where this is set to. And then as you get further away again, it gets fatter and fatter and fatter. So a beam has like a Coke bottle shaped angle. And that's because of the focal length. So if you imagine, it doesn't actually go like that. It actually crosses over. It's basically rail tracks that are twisted round. And yeah. If you remember back to physics, you'll probably remember something like that, physics in school. So the issue is you want to make sure it's in that bit where it's at its thinnest. And to do that, we have a tool that we made for the laser. So we worked out that point where it's actually at its thinnest, and then I made this on the laser itself, which is the laser focus tool for prototypists. This is the depth that it needs to be from the edge of the laser to the workplace material. Irrespective of the thickness of the material, this is to the top of the material, and then that puts the laser in the correct spot. So we always use this, and then we can raise the bed or lower it depending on the thickness of the material to make sure that this is in the correct place. So lots of things you need to do to make sure you're cutting your plate correctly. Iwood here as well. He says, good evening, Jay, in chat. What are we making today? We're making keyboard plates, dude. Keyboard plates. Of all the things, who'd have thunk it, right? If my hay fever holds out. That doesn't get too bad, because it's really, really, really bad today. Assume Keyboards, thank you very much for the follow as well. I appreciate that. Apologies I missed it earlier. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that a lot. So this has basically been my day today, just cutting keyboard plates. We cut over 100 today in one day, I think. About 30% of them went wrong, so I'm having to remake those, which are the ones we're doing right now. But hopefully this should complete the group by today, and there'll be some tidy up plates to cut tomorrow as well. Oh, the Vesta board is updating. Let's turn on the Vesta cam. There we go. Detorn, thank you so much for the follow. Thank you very much for the support. Apologies it took so long for that to show up. That's 14 minutes later. Here we go. Someone else who followed after Detorn. Awesome Keyboards, thank you very much for the follow as well. I think it missed Wayward Fox. I do apologise. I need to get some better APIs out of Twitch for that. Need to get some better APIs. Wayward Fox says, that's a big old Samsung box in the background. Anything exciting? The Samsung box, that's actually the TV that's in my living room at home. I just didn't have space for the box at home, so I brought it to the warehouse to keep it. And we were actually using it to block the door earlier on as well, just for a little bit of time. But yeah, the front box is for the Vesta board, which you saw a minute ago. The back box is for the TV I have at home. Got it last year, so yeah. Zakiria says, am I right in thinking you said carbon fiber is your favorite plate material? Personally, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the most dynamic material that you can use in keyboards. Yeah, I genuinely think it is my favorite material personally, but I do like lots of different materials in lots of different keyboards. So I wouldn't say I'm like an exclusively carbon fiber user. I like all sorts of different materials. Arcana says, I have had a keyboard design obsession lately, and cases are so damn expensive to get made. Yeah, you need some good funding behind you if you're going to start prototyping cases, unfortunately. It's not cheap, sadly. I wish it were cheaper. Maybe one day I'll be able to offer cheap case prototype service when I get a CNC machine, maybe. 30 quid, well, we'll do a 3D printed one for less than 30 quid, Arcana, so don't worry about it. It'll be the cost of the filament, the cost of the electric, and the cost of the shipping to you, which shouldn't be too much. So don't worry, we'll be all right. We'll get you a 3D printed one made. The other thing you guys might have noticed as well is that POM sometimes squeaks when it gets cut. You might have heard it in the background. Sometimes it makes a squeaking noise. Not all materials do that. POM is a very weird material that makes a squeaking noise sometimes. So you're getting a water jet to cut CF, right? No, I wouldn't cut CF on a water jet personally anyway. I've seen what it does and I don't like that. It fractures the carbon fiber. What I would do is I'd get a flatbed CNC and the end of the mill and the material will be under a thin layer of water. So I'd probably make sure I had a good 40mm long bit into 1.5mm thick material, and I'd make sure I had a good 3mm or 5mm of water over the top of that to just keep up all of the dust inside the water so it doesn't flick out of the parts. Maybe Ione, maybe I am looking at flatbed CNC, maybe. I actually already have a desktop one, but it's not suitable for cutting carbon fiber on. I've had it for a long time, longer than I've been into keyboards, to be honest. It's not the best and it's not the greatest, but it works. But maybe we'll get flatbed CNC, maybe. A flatbed CNC would be pretty cool. Just use scissors instead, far cheaper. Yeah, like a craft knife and some scissors, maybe. Might be cheaper, I'm not sure it'd be easier. I'm not sure it'd be as nice either. Wayward Fox is a really good question. He says, I have a 3D graphics degree, so I have a vague idea of modeling and 3D printing pipelines. But for keyboard design and fabrication, I really wouldn't know where to start. Are there any softwares you'd recommend for someone looking to play around in keyboard design for fun? Yeah, so Fusion 360, you can get a license for free if you're a student. There we go, the machine's finished. Which is usually quite good. That's how I started out. And I'm not a designer. I don't really do CAD work, as anyone will attest to. I'm not what I would call a true designer, or I don't even think I'm worthy of the word designer in any shape or form at all, to be honest with you. But Fusion 360 is what I'd recommend. It's you can get a license for free, and it should do you well for most of what you need. There are some good guides on YouTube in terms of how to get started with that kind of stuff. There was a good one from, oh gosh, I can't remember the guy's name now. James, help me out. James, if you're watching, who did that really good keyboard design? The guy with the, I can't think of his name. Someone help me out. Someone knows this. What the hell was his name? He did the Q board. I can't remember his name now, but he did the board that's called the Q. That's Kyuu. If you search for that, you might be able to find it. But effectively, Quantric. That's the name. That's the name I couldn't think of. Thank you, James. Quantric. So if you search for Quantric keyboard design on YouTube, you should be able to find the video. He gives I wouldn't say it's a good guide, but it kind of gets most people going. It teaches most people what they need to know in terms of Fusion. I think it's quite basic in terms of the level of skill that it provides, but it's not a bad start, and that will get you into most of the mechanics of how keyboards are manufactured. The rest of it is a lot of trial and error. That kind of design is trial and error, making things that you like. That will give you a good solid start. The Keyboard Atelier Discord as well. Yep, that's run by a designer called AIO3. That's also a good place and lots of resources in there. I think a lot of it is over commercialized in that area, but yeah, there's definitely some good resources there. Okay, so we're just going to clean up the workbed now. And then we can move on to the next file whilst we post-process the file we've just cut. Put the workpiece back in, pin it down in place. And I do apologise, guys, my hay fever is so bad today. I feel like I'm really sniffly. It's not good. It's not good. Adam says, not surprised to hear you're a bit down on Quantrix Guide. I understand that the Q files need a lot of work to actually be used for production. I've never taken a look at them, but I've heard the same. I think that Quantrix Guide's good to get you going in Fusion, but I don't think it teaches you all of the parameters and areas that you need to look at. But it's a good starting point. Like, it gets you into that kind of frame of mind and thinking. GeonWorks also has a really good set of streams where he shows design and he shows how he models in CAD and Fusion and multiple other softwares as well. So he's always also one worth checking out as well. Sharu Designs did a limited non-profit run of it called the Chew. Yes, I heard about that. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. It's not a design I like, so it's not something I'd be interested in personally. Okay, so we've now got the workpiece back in. Let's get back up into Lightburn. And now we're going to move on to the next piece. Now we know where we've cut the last piece, so we can move underneath it. I know I've cut that file, so I'm just going to make sure I've got the next file. Okay, so I'm going to drag that into the software. And we know we need to position it just underneath the last piece. So we're going to use that as our guide. We're going to make sure it's set to cut PON. We're going to get rid of the old part, and then we're just going to flip this part over as you've seen me do before. So we're cutting from the top side down. So we're just going to flip that along the horizontal axis, and then we're going to send that over to the machine. Then we're going to step over to the machine. And we're going to check that that fits. So I'm just using some of the buttons on the machine to make sure that that actually fits in the correct place. All the parameters are there correctly. And then we're going to frame it. So this is where it's going to draw it. This is the area it's going to cut the plate in. All looks good. I'm going to hit start. And we're going to let that run. And whilst that's running, I'm just going to do post-processing on this plate. This is basically just me popping out all of the small parts that have remained in place during the cutting process. Most of these come out without issue. Some of them are a little bit tight or have slightly bonded back when they've melted, but most of them come out without issue. Tom says, Wagwan, I have some of your stuff here, Tom. I haven't finished QCing it, I haven't found the colour that you wanted, but when I get to it, I will ship it out for you. We're making plates today. PON plates, in-house PON plates. I apologise, Tom. I just haven't got around. I haven't got through them all yet. There's just so many to get through. We've posted like 620 odd orders in the past day. It's been a little bit nuts. The Vestaboard is updating. Let's see what's going on there. Oh, new sale. I'm not supposed to show you these, but there you go. Someone's bought something from the site. There we go. Nice and easy. Mio says Fusion 360 is simultaneously the best and the worst software in the world. Fantastic when you know how to use it, diabolical when you don't. Yeah, some of the simple stuff is the hardest to find as well, and what you think are the correct search terms in Google for it are not. So I fully appreciate that difficulty with Fusion. James says, Fusion is easy for idiots like me to pick up, but also the most poorly optimized software I've ever used. That's very true. It's much better on a Mac, I have found that, but not everyone wants to use a Mac, so that's fine. Gio says, oh, when it decides to crash on you for no reason you haven't saved. Well, always save your work then, dude. Always save your work. Good Guide says, bought Striker Extras 2 days ago. I hope you keep doing pre-orders. Yeah, we'll have more stuff up for pre-order soon. Sorry, someone's just outside. We'll have more stuff up for pre-order next week, I think. I just need to prep them. Once the GMK invoices have been paid, that's when I like to put things up for pre-order, because then I know manufacturing is taking place. It's in the queue at that point, right? So yeah, more stuff will come in soon. Fusion has crashed possibly a total of 2 or 3 times in the past year for my Mac. Yeah, I have a Mac Mini that's quite high powered here, and when I use that, it's much better as Fusion. But the problem I have is everything else I need is on Windows. Like the software I use on the laser cutter, it's only available on Windows. So everything in the workshop has to be on Windows. It's just one of those things. It's not that bad on Windows. I think it all depends on the spec of the machine. I think it does depend on the spec of the machine. Which reminds me, James, we need to talk about getting you a better machine. That's something we need to talk about and arrange. So we'll have a look at that in the next couple of weeks. Gilbert says, good evening. Good evening, man. Glad to see you. Glad you're here for the stream. Adam says, who is Mel anyway? Mel is my workshop buddy. She comes and helps me package stuff. She's a good friend. She was part of the keyboard hobby a long time ago. She actually joined me on my first ever stream, which was back in 2016, I think, 2017, which is when I used to stream under a completely different channel, which I can't access anymore because Twitch is Twitch. But yeah, my first ever stream, she joined me, and we did the HS60 build stream for MechBoards. That was such a long time ago. I think we had like 4 viewers, and that was done in my office at home. But Mel used to be a fan of the hobby. She used to collect things. She dropped out of it a couple of years ago, but then when I set up Prototypist, she offered to come and help me because she lives relatively close, and she can always pop over and give me a hand packaging stuff. So yeah, she comes and helps out a couple of times a week now, as and when she's needed, on a very much a tentative basis. There's no set hours or anything, but yeah, it's good for her, it's good for me, and it means that we get stuff done. James says my ears just pricked up. Well, it's only right. We'll have a chat about it this week. We've got some other stuff to do tomorrow as well, James, so we'll have a chat about it while we're doing that. Tom remembers the nightmares for the college workshop. Yeah, so many tools and products have to run on Windows these days, and there is no Mac equivalent or otherwise, and it does make it really, really difficult sometimes, but we just have to get rid of it. Need to pick up with the one of the M1X MacBooks this autumn. Yeah, when is it they come out? Is that November when they come out, I think? I think so. Full name, Mel Workshop. I don't want to dox her and say what her full name is on the stream. That would be unfair, but she's called Mel, yeah. You might see her in Discord very occasionally. She's very quiet on Discord, but she does happen around every now and again. Gio likes a car. Yeah, she's got an Audi A3. 2014 Audi A3 she drives. It's not a bad little motor. Automatic though, which I don't understand. Why have an automatic when you have a manual transmission car? I don't get that. But hey, she's happy, and that's the main thing. It's her car. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's someone making a right racket out in the car park outside. RS3 Sportback is on my short list of stupid cars that are overpriced to buy. Yeah, she doesn't have an RS3, and it's not a Sportback, so yeah, it's just the standard one. White Star Flower, thank you so much for the follow, man. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. You may get immortalized on the Vesta board if it decides to update. The Twitch API for getting push updates out of it for things like that is slow, and it's not the best. It's not reliable either. There we go. Next plate file is done. Wayward Fox says can't hear them. The stream is good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Okay, let's see if we can. We're probably going to have to remove this piece of material anyway. So let's do that just now. There we go. Take out the material. We need some 60% plates to cut. So we get some 60% plates, we're able to use these last 2 bits of material in portrait mode and get them cut nicely. Okay, so I've got a little pile at the front now of spare chippings material. Let's put another piece of material in there and then get the next piece cutting. The material I'm using here is actually offcuts. These aren't the pieces of material designed for this machine. But because we're doing a stream, we're only cutting very, very small files. and we're doing one at once basically, rather than setting 10 or 12 going like I would do normally. These pieces of material are just the right size. Normally they fill the whole entire bed. So if I zoom out, you guys will see. Normally the piece will cover here and it'll come right down to the front this way as well. It's usually nearly double that size, maybe a little bit bigger even, so we can get 8 plates in total. But yeah, for the streams this size it's probably a little bit better to cut. Okay, so we've got another workpiece in. It's all looking good. Time to jump back into the software and add in the next file. So, what is the next number I need? Okay. So I'm just going to find the next file that we need, and then I'm going to grab it over. Okay. Okay, so this has got 2, so we're going to drag 1 in, and we're going to set both of these cutting at the same time. So I'm just going to move that around. I'm going to put that right where it needs to be. We're going to delete the part that we've already cut once. We don't need that anymore. Just need to drop that down just a touch, just so it'll fit in the material. And we're going to set that for POM, which makes it go yellow. And we're going to flip that on the horizontal axis, just like so. This order's got 2 files, so we're going to drag the second one in. We're going to make that yellow as well. Now this one needs rotating, so we've got the right way round and we can make sure everything's cutting correctly. We're just going to rotate that clockwise. We're going to then move it into the correct position to cut. And then we're going to arrange it by flipping it on the horizontal axis so that we're cutting from the top down instead of the bottom up. Okay, we're going to send that over to the machine. And that's now in the machine. So let's see how that's going to appear on the workpiece. So adjust the camera just a touch. There we go. Okay, that's the setup done. Let's frame it and see where it's going to cut. That looks good. So we're going to hit the start button and away we go. Damn, I miss using a laser cutter. Dude, it's my favorite tool in the workshop at the minute. It's passed only by the imaginary CNC that will arrive one day. You can do some really basic stuff with laser cutters, and then you can get really, really advanced stuff done as well. They're like the multi-tool of the hobbyist workshop, I feel. You can do so much with them. Etching, cutting. Okay. Okay, now we've got a stubborn piece that won't pop out, so we're going to use the little knife. Be careful if you're ever using a bladed instrument, guys. There we go. One more. Okay, this one doesn't want to come out either. There we go. Okay, and then we have another plate, all cut nicely, even, and great. Okay, so just putting these with the orders. I can't show you the orders, guys, because of data protection and all that kind of stuff. But I am just putting them with the orders so I know that I've got the right paperwork with the right file. Is there anything you can make out of the spare chippings? So personally, no, I don't make anything out of the spare chippings from cutting plates. But what I do is I take all of the plastic that I cut, and all of the off-cuttings go to a local manufacturer who actually makes bricks out of plastic. And these bricks are used in third world countries across Africa and places like that to actually build schools and houses and hotels and all sorts of other buildings. They just basically melt these plastics down and they use them for different functions and different functionality. Some of the bricks look really cool. but I take down acrylic, POM, also known as Delrin. I take offcuts of wood down there, and they recycle everything. Anything that's too small for me to use in the workshop, they take off my hands, they melt it down, and they create these wonderful, amazing bricks of material, which are ultra strong and ultra dense. They're really cool, really cool. Gio says, you need to do like in restaurants and make a hole so you can brush it right into the bin. Yeah, I'm going to get a vac and put it on the wall, and basically it'll have like a catch, so the pipe will come out of the vacuum cleaner, it'll go into a tub which will screw on and off, and then there'll be another tube coming out which will then go onto like the end that I can move inside the laser cutter, and that will suck everything up into the tub. I can unscrew the tub, tip it into the thing, screw it back on. It's a job that I need to do, I just haven't got around to it. I just haven't got around to it just yet, but I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. Yeah, the little desktop ones are good, but you can't do anything major with them. So they are very, very limited in what they'll cut, and you don't get good results. You often don't have variable Z height, so you're stuck with one thickness of material as well, and they're difficult to calibrate. So yes, they're okay, but don't expect to make parts out of them that you want to sell. That is what I would suggest. Makes really intricate puzzle boxes from plywood. Yeah, I cut plywood quite often. Yeah, I do quite a lot of things from plywood. You can do all sorts with them. How come Prototypist is a .net instead of a .co.uk or a .com? Prototypist is a .co.uk and a .net. It just forwards you to the .net site if you go on there. But Prototypist.co.uk is owned by me as well. Yeah. Allow KBD, thank you so much for the follow, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, my dude. Did I build the CO2 layers myself? No, it came assembled, but it did need fully calibrating and setting up when I got it. So there was a whole host of calibration, about 100 hours of calibration, testing, and understanding materials to get all of the settings working where I can just run it and go. Yeah, it's about 100 hours of time input into the machine. So there we go. Twitch is here as well. Hey man, good to see you. Does the machine have an exhaust? Yes, it does. You can't see it, but there's basically a huge suction underneath the mesh bed. So you can see the mesh bed. There's a whole raft of suction underneath there, and that's why the door's up at the bottom here. You can see that the door's up. That's because the pipe goes out underneath the door outside, so all of the nasty fumes pushed out into the outside. Ferry9 says, I want to try get into this, but it's super intimidating. Find a makerspace near you. Most of them have mini laser cutters, or ones are sort of this size. You often have to book time on them in advance, and it's usually the type of part that you have to, type of machine that you have to pay for time rather than just being part of the subscription to the service. But you can always find a good way of learning laser cutting at a place like that. There's loads of maker stations all over the country. If you're anywhere near Bradford, which is where I'm based, you're more than welcome to come down, and I'll teach you how to use a laser cutter here. Just let me know before you come down, and I will set up a time that's good. But yeah, it's definitely something that anyone can learn. It just takes time, and every laser is different, so you all have to calibrate them all differently, and you can't just take the settings from my machine, buy the same machine and put those settings on it, because the calibration won't work. There's so many tiny little details that adjust it and amend it, so unfortunately that's not possible. But yeah, we can get you going with it. We can get you going. White Starflower says, are there any laser cutting machines where it doesn't need an exhaust? So yes, you don't have to use an exhaust with these. Like, you could just let it cut and not use an exhaust. But the issue you have with that is that when you open the lid, fumes are going to get into wherever you're cutting it. And fumes really smell, and they take a toll on you as well. Like, all of this dust that you can see coming off this, it looks like smoke or steam coming off of the part. That's just fine dust. And that's because I've got the lid open. Normally it would just be sucked away if the lid was closed. That really isn't nice to breathe in. It's not good. I would generally recommend, if you're going to use one, to use it outside if you don't want an exhaust, or to make sure you've got an exhaust that goes out a window. It should be dead easy for you to be able to get some power near a machine, near a window, and have a table near the window and have an exhaust go out of it. Like, that has to be a number one priority, just from a health and safety perspective. Scotland's not so far. You can drive down. I'd love to be able to visit a meetup or something similar. Haven't done any keyboard related things in person yet. So I'm actually going to have an open day at Prototypist at some point in the near future. It will be limited because the space isn't massive, so probably limited to 30 people. But I do intend on having an open day here at some point in the near future. What's the laser you're using right now called? It's called the Chinese red and black 150 watt laser. It doesn't have a name other than that, unfortunately. It is very much a Chinese machine though. Let me read you the front. So the control panel on the front, this is literally what it says. It says, the guide rail and the transmission part of Limerick, weekly maintenance time. I swear to you that's exactly what it says. Let me take a picture of this and show you guys, because I swear to you that is exactly what it says. Okay, let me orientate this correctly. Let's flick over to the other camera. So here you go. The guide rail and the transmission part of Limerick, weekly maintenance time. There you go. Yeah, it's available to order online. This particular machine was about 5,000 British pounds, including all import fees and everything else needed, but it was about 5,000 pounds. Moose is here as well. He says, hey Jane, hey man, good to see you. White Star Flower says, what if the place I'm staying in is not on the first floor? Will it still be safe to use an exhaust where it's releasing those tiny particles? Yeah, I mean, it's okay to go outside. Like most of the tiny particles, they just get sucked down into the base of the machine. You hoover that out every couple of weeks. They won't actually get pushed outside, like the tiny little parts. You can see them come off the material every now and again and then just drop almost immediately. That's the suction pulling them down. But you want to get the fumes out there. Like there's often smoke. If you're cutting plywood, there will be smoke off of it. If it's acrylic, it smells like a nail salon and it's a really sharp smell, so you want to make sure that that's not there. And basically a lot of it's to push the fumes outside. Once they're outside, it's okay as long as it's not somewhere there's heavy foot traffic. This is only an industrial estate. This is my workshop. It's 2,200 square feet. It's pretty big, so plenty of space. Is it not super cold in that workshop in winter? Yeah, it's super hot in the summer, it's super cold in the winter. I do have an office, so the wall that's directly behind here, so if I can spin the camera just a little bit, this is my desk. So behind this wall here, this breeze block wall here that you can see, just in there, behind that wall there is my office space. That's where I stream from pretty much all the time. There you go, you can see the laser cuts now. When I'm doing keyboard builds, that's where I stream from. But the workshop itself is pretty big. You're going to see the light that I've got turned on here, but if you ignore the light for a second, you should be able to see that the rest of the workshop is just open and back there. But it's about 2,200 square feet. There we go. There we go. Nice. Yeah, it's 28 degrees Celsius in here right now. Or it was when I came up to stream earlier, it might have dropped. 21 degrees Celsius now, so it's not too bad now. It's not too bad now. Oh, the Vesta board's going. Let's get the Vesta cam on. White Star Flower is now following. Thank you so much, White Star Flower. Thank you. Oh, it's going again. It's going again. Lao KBD is now following. Thank you for the support. There we go. It does work. It just takes time to update. That's a real board. That's a real thing on my wall. Hold on. People say, is this a digital thing? It's not. Like, it's a real thing. It's like completely and utterly real. It's a real thing on my wall. White Star Flower said, have you heard of the Snapmaker 3-in-1? It doesn't have a cover and all of that. So, yeah, I have. I wouldn't trust it. I don't think it's worthwhile as a tool. I think everything that I've tried that's a 3D printer and laser etcher and multiple other things in one, it's crap at all the jobs. Like, I genuinely think that if you're going to invest in stuff, like I have the 3D printers, buy a 3D printer that's a good 3D printer. Buy a Prusa Mark 3S. Like, genuinely, that's the best starter printer you can buy. I am 100% impressed with them. The quality I get out of them is absolutely obscene. I had an Ender 3 before it, and I would not recommend that to anyone because it takes time to calibrate every single print. The Prusas, you set them once and you just keep going and going and going. I print for 19 hours a day, 7 days a week, at least never have any issues. And I have 2 of those running. They've got over 1,000 hours of print time each, and I've had them both just about a year. So you can see them printing in the bottom corner. They're just reliable as anything. If you want a laser cutter, buy something that's designed for to be a laser cutter. Buy a K40 if you want a cheap option. If you've got £5 to spend, buy one of these. Make sure you've got the time to invest in calibrating it, because they do take a long time to calibrate. You're not going to get amazing results out of the box. You're going to have to spend time doing it. And if you really, really want to go big, spend 35 to 45 grand and buy a Trotec, because they are amazing and I would love one. And that's going to be my next laser upgrade, a Trotec. The Prusa Mark III is the 3D printer I'd recommend. You can see 2 of them printing in the bottom. Here, let me make one bigger for you. So you can see I've got 2 of them printing right now. That's one of them on its way. And here's the other one going. Those are both enclosures over at the far side of my workshop, the side that you couldn't see before. We all know the workshop is a green screen. Dude, so many people think the workshop's fake. I don't understand why, but so many people do. It's bizarre. Very excited for the open day at the workshop. Hope we can make it. Yeah, we'll put on coffee. We'll have a bit of food here. We'll try and keep as much social distance as we can, irrespective of the rules. But yeah, I'm more than excited to have, more than happy to have people come and visit. There we go. That's this ordered up. Rendered in Blender before the fact. Fantastic timing. Yeah, right. I wish. What do I think of the Prusa Mini? I think the Prusa Mini is quite good. Yeah, Prusa, P-R-U-S-A. The Prusa Mini is quite good. It's too small for my needs. I'd never be able to get anything off of it of any value. But the Prusa Mark III is the machine I have 2 of, and they're just astoundingly good. Like as 3D printers go, once you get them right, they just go and go and go and go, and you don't have any issues with them. They're so good. $900 says very nice. What's 900? Sorry. It's got a weird flat colouring in the background. Maybe that's why. Oh, the background of the workshop, maybe, but it's a real space. Like it's all real. Ender 3. Yeah, the Ender 3s are. Honestly, you can get good prints out of them, but as soon as you get one good print, you'll print again and you'll have to calibrate the whole thing again. I just find them not great. The biggest and best upgrade I ever had to an Ender 3 was actually changing the print bed for a piece of carbon fiber. It wasn't cheap, it cost me about £100 a sheet, and I had to have 5 of them made, but that was the biggest upgrade I ever did to it. If you would like one of those bits of carbon fiber, I have some more for an Ender 3. I can sell you one. It won't be £100, I'll sell you it for 30 quid or something like that. Just drop me a message and let me know if you want one. In fact, let me see if I've still got them. Let me check I've still got them actually. But I think they were big 5mm thick pieces of carbon fiber. Let me check. Yeah, so here we go. This is a solid piece of carbon fiber with the backing on it, but this is what I use on the Ender 3. It was the best upgrade I ever had. Yeah, really super thick. But even then, it still took so much calibrating. The Prusa Mark IIIs, you get them built and then you just leave them and they go and go and go. They're amazing bits of kit. Prusa Mark III is approximately 900, Mini is about 350. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was really good. Printing on glass was often the worst thing you could do. Parts would actually break trying to get them off the glass. The carbon fiber was the greatest mix of having that perfect, level, smooth surface that adhered well and enabling you to get parts off. But the Prusa ones are amazing because they're just this flexible sheet and you just print on them and the bed's heated and then you just snap it and it comes off. They're so good at the Prusas, like genuinely I can't speak highly enough for them. You don't say in the UK, I can ship anywhere in the world, it's fine. Just let me know. If you want one, just email me, jae@prototypist.net, j@prototypist.net, and we'll see if we can sort something out. Like, I'm genuinely not using it, it's just sat there on the side. I don't use that printer anymore. We'll try and sort something out to get them to you. Okay, let's see how these 2 parts came out. I think they came out pretty good. He says, not able to pick them up. Right, we're going to have to take the material out. I was hoping we wouldn't have to do that. There we go. Getting lots of this material left over. Okay, just going to scoop all this to one side. Pile's getting bigger now. Time to do some post-processing on this, so let's move over to the stream intro again. If you guys have got any questions as well about what we do here at Prototypist, or anything that we make, or any questions about group buys or anything at all, it could even be non-keyboard related, it could be just making things related, it could be science related, you name it, just ask away guys, ask any question you'd like. I'm an open book, you can ask me anything, as long as it's not going to get me booted off Twitch, I'll answer it. Or I'll tell you why I can't answer it if I can't answer it. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like. Okay, that's file 1 done. And here's file 2. As I say, I can't tell you what boards these are for, but I'm sure you can guess some of them at the very least. But I can't confirm or deny, even if you do guess right, unfortunately. Because that would be a breach of data protection and customers making orders, so I can't share that. We're just popping out all of the bits that didn't fall out. Just taking it easy, taking it steady. Okay, once we've got this one sorted, we'll start to take a look through some of your questions before we cut the next piece. There we go, that's that one done. Okay, first question then. Any MacroPad recommendations? Yes, so the Treasure Type 9 is really good. I built one the other day for a friend on stream, but I really enjoyed using it. The S7 MacroPad as well is really good. I've lost my microphone, give me a second guys. As well as that, I think there's some really good ones out there. It depends on what you want and how many keys you want on it. The Rama ones are really good, M6C is really good, but they only have 6 keys, which is often a limitation for a lot of people. But if that would do it, maybe that would suit you. Thoughts on hamsters? I've never had a pet hamster. I did have a girlfriend who killed a pet hamster once, not on purpose, completely by mistake. It was tragic. But yeah, hamsters are cute. Any plans to expand the team at PT? So officially, the team is just me. Mel is very much a hired day-by-day contractor. James is our lead designer and very much hired as a day-by-day contractor. So legally and officially, the team is just me. Maybe at some point we'll need to take on more staff. We ship on average about 1,000 orders a month now, but this week we've already shipped over 600. So the numbers are growing consistently, and I don't have time to do everything that I need to do. So maybe at some point the team will have to grow. We'll see. We'll see. No promises, but it might happen. I'm releveling the bed on my Ender 3 every other print. I think I'll go for a Core XY 3D printer next, like the look of the Prussas. I would like a large print bed. Yeah, the Prusa XL is going to be really good. The Prussas themselves, I never have to calibrate the bed. Never. Like, it just doesn't need doing. Like, as soon as I put the sheet in, that's it, they go. I never calibrate the beds. They do have the calibration tool on them, which is a little bit like a what's on the Ender 3, like a what do they call the bed calibration tool on the Ender 3? The little plunger thing, I don't know. But they have a Pinder sensor on the Prussas, which is really good. So you don't need to do any calibration at all. How do I stay motivated to complete a board project that has already failed so many times? Okay, so motivation. People think that motivation means you need to be doing something constantly, and that's the wrong mindset to have. Motivation doesn't mean that you're going to spend 9 hours a day, every single day for a week concentrating on something. That's not motivation. Motivation is actually being excited to do the work and finding times that suit in your daily day job or your daily life to actually get that work done. So you don't have to be super hyper focused on something to be motivated to do it. It's just something that you want to do in your heart of hearts. So motivation isn't about just forcing yourself to do the work. Don't take that as motivation. It's really not. Motivation is very, very different. So you might be motivated by making a nice product. You might be motivated by finishing the product. You might be motivated by having something that only you want. Whatever it is, you just need to focus on those aspects that make the design something that you're into. Don't focus on trying to get the work done. That's a very different mindset, and it's not, productivity is not the same as motivation, so don't confuse the two. Hope that helps. The Knob Goblin has dual encoders. Yeah, it has dual knobs, right? Yeah. Nice. Same just for experience? Yeah. Maybe I should be sending in my CV. Not taking CVs at the minute. BL Touch, that's the name of it, yeah. I never had much luck with the BL Touch, but the Pinder sensor on the process is amazing. It just does the job straight out of the box. Yeah, it's really good. Right, okay, on to the next order then. So let me pack these into this order. And we'll move on to the next one. My hay fever's so bad today, guys. I really, really am apologetic about it, and I'm really sorry, but I am going to be a bit sniffly, unfortunately. Okay, so we're going to jump back into the software. We're going to delete the top plate first. We don't need that one anymore. And then I'm just going to dig out the file that we do need. Well, first of all, I'm going to move the files that I've already done into a different folder. Okay, let me find the files that I need now this time. Okay, so this is just one, so we can actually use an offcut of material for this one. I'm just going to drag that file over. And then this is actually already in the absolute correct orientation for us to cut it. So I'm going to move it to the correct spot. I'm going to delete the old file. I'm going to set this one to be POM, and I'm going to send that over to the machine. Okay, so that's now all in the machine, and this is going to be ready to cut. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to put one of the offcuts of material that we've got in here, and we're going to cut this using one of these offcuts. I'm going to pin the workpiece down again, as always, just to make sure that we're not having it lift or move on us. There we go. And then we're going to make sure that this is going to cut in the correct place. That all looks good, and this is where we get the most out of our material now. My BL Touch hasn't worked well either. Went back to manual mesh leveling. Pain. Yeah. I never had good experiences with them, but the Pinder Probe on the process, I know I keep talking about them, but it's just so good. Like, it just works. Out of the box, it just works. No issues whatsoever. If you want 3D printing to be an enjoyable experience, buy a Prusa. Don't buy, or buy something that's rated. I really don't get behind the Ender 3. I do have another Ender, or Creality, sorry, I do have another Creality printer that I've picked up that I need to build at some point when my back's fully better and I can lift it, which is one of the print mills, so it prints onto a conveyor belt, which I'm really excited for. It's actually in the workshop already, so I do want to get that working at some point. Who do you think will win the Euros? I think France is going to win. I think France is going to win. I don't really follow football, so it's just a guess. Did you get a kit or a pre-built Prusa? I have two of them, and I bought them as a kit, and I built them both myself. I actually streamed the build of one of them. I did stream the build of one of them a very, very long time ago. But yeah, 100% build them yourself. You learn so much more about how the printer works when you build them yourself. North Macedonia, 100%. Maybe. And just to show you that the 3D printers are live as well, this is a live image. I'm just going to go and wave my hand in there because people often claim that I'm not printing these live, but these are live. It's a little bit of a walk across the workshop, but yeah, you should see my hand pop up in a second. Hello. There we go. France actually just won against Germany. Nice. I knew they were playing today. I haven't seen it. I don't have the results or anything to hand. Oh, there's a few minutes left? Right, okay. Okay. I think France will win the competition based on my very, very incredibly limited knowledge of football. Time wasting too good? Who's wasting time? The French team? So we've almost finished this piece, and then I think we've only got 3 more customer orders to do today to hit my quota of how many I needed to cut in today's space. So how many more plates have we got? We've got this one, 1, 4, 5 more plates to cut. 5 more plates to cut tonight. I didn't know there was football on until Sunday when I had a text from Papa John's with a football themed offer. Nice. Nice. I can't remember the last time I had a Papa John's. It must be a long, long time ago. Usually for me, it's Domino's if we order a chain brand pizza, or if not, there's a local company that does like a wood, like they've got a proper wood burning pizza oven. They do really good pizzas, but they're really expensive. So I say expensive, they're about 20 quid each, so it's not that bad at all, really. But yeah. I don't really like Domino's, but if we order from a chain place, that's where we order from. We tend to order from this other place. It's called Pizza Pieces, which is really cute, and it's just amazing pizzas. They're 16 inches as well, so they're proper big pizzas. The kebab shop near Meeks makes damn good ones, but I normally get a calzone. I don't really like cheap takeaways like that. I really struggle to justify buying them. Yeah, usually it's either Indian or decent burgers or pizza when we order. We don't order that often, to be honest, these days, but we did go through a spate where we ordered all the time, which was really, really bad. Yeah, I'll try pop you a DM when I'm done. Yeah, I will try Tom. I'll probably be done in about 35 minutes, 40 minutes for the stream. No promises I can actually do what you need me to do tonight, because it's going to get late and it's like 10 o'clock already, but I'll try. Still making noise out in the yard. I'm so sorry if you guys can hear it. Okay, there we go. One more file down. He says he can't even pick it up. There we go, that piece is now fully used up. Won't get anything out of that. Okay, let's get one more sheet in now. There's quite a few parts to cut on this one, so we'll see. This next order has, I think, 3 plates. I'm just going to pin the workpiece down again. You could use clamps for this. There are clamps that you can get for these mesh beds, but magnets work just as well. Go. Let's load up the software again. And then let's see what needs to be in this next order. Okay, let me just organize my files, guys. Oh, interesting. The next order is for one. I missed the sheet. Right, okay, so it's the order after this that's got 3 files for it. So we're just going to drop this in here. So this is an Alice style layout. It's not an actual Alice. We're going to flip this on the horizontal, and we're going to make it ready for POM. We're going to delete the file that we don't need anymore, and then we're going to move this to the correct place. I'm going to send that over to the machine. And then we can go back to the machine. We don't need Lightburn for a minute. So we're going to come over to the machine, make sure everything works, and then we're going to frame that, make sure it's going to cut in the right space, and we're going to hit go. There we go. Okay, let's catch up with chat. Zakiri's going as well. Good night, Tom as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Arcana, for being here. I appreciate your time. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear those squeaks in the background, but occasionally the material does squeak as it cuts, which is kind of a weird and interesting noise. I'm not sure what causes it either. I assume it's just the noise of the air escaping between the material and the case. Okay, time to just pop all of the parts out of this piece, and then we can put this order down as done. There we go. I'd say these all do need to get clean after as well, and that will happen before these are shipped to the customers. Get rid of all of the offcuts off the desk here into the waste disposal. As I say, these all get taken to a local company who turns them into bricks, which is really interesting and cool. What CNC machine would you get for the workshop? I actually tried to buy a CNC machine from Haas about a year ago. I've talked about it on the stream before. They messed me around with COVID and everything else, but I was going to buy a VF2SS. That was the machine I was going to buy. I have toyed with getting a little Tormac in the meantime, but I'm kind of leaning away from that at the minute. Bless me, apologies for that, my hay fever is getting really, really bad. Randall Bolts, thank you so much for being here. Thank you very much. Yeah, it cuts pretty quick. It cuts pretty quick. If you turn the red light off, you'll be able to see a little bit better. There you go. You can see how that cuts pretty swift. These are customer files for custom plates. Yes, I can't tell you what boards they're for, but these are customer files for a group buy we ran a few months ago, yes. The CF plates are about to arrive in the workshop in the next few days, so it's now time to cut all of the POM plates to make sure that we've got all of the correct files on hand for the customers. So yeah. Excuse me guys, I apologize, my hay fever is so bad today, it's so bad. It's the worst it's been all year today. I think I need to put some better lighting in the laser cutter as well. Maybe I'll have a look with some LED strips and get some better lighting in there as well, guys. Not at the minute, Randall, no. So once this group buy is done, there will be a permanent listing on the website and you'll be able to submit files at that point, and I'll cut them at any time for you. But right now, this is just for the group buy. Once the group buy is done and shipped and all of that is sorted, then it'll be an open service on the website and I'll cut files to order. But they come out pretty nice. This one's almost finished now. It's going to go do the last few switches, and then once it's done that, it will do the outside edge of the whole keyboard case. Yeah, we'll see what that looks like in a minute. The VF2 SS, yeah, these are like the size of a decent SUV. They're not small pieces of machinery. And yeah, they're incredibly expensive, but they're worthwhile investments in making parts. And if you've got a maker space or you like to make things, they're very, very valuable tools to have. As I say, I have looked at a small Tormach, but it's not quite what I want. It's probably not powerful enough for what I need. So yeah, it's not something I'd be considering right now. But a VF2 SS, I did try and buy one from Haas a year ago, and there was a whole palaver that Salvan was actually helping me out with. So I paid the deposit for a VF2 SS, a brand new machine. That deposit was over £10,000. I paid that deposit down, and we agreed a delivery date and a finance plan to actually pay for the machine. 3 days before the delivery date, they called me up and said that the finance plan we had agreed they couldn't honour anymore, and they had to make it more expensive. Turned out that it was about £50 a month more expensive, so I was relatively comfortable with that, and I said, okay, that's fine, let's just carry on and get the machine in. That had delayed the delivery date by a couple of weeks, and again, the night before the delivery was due to take place, they told me that they couldn't offer me the deal at all anymore, and they actually wanted me to put my house down as collateral, my personal house down as collateral. I refused to do that, and then they told me that they weren't refunding the £10,000 deposit that I paid because I had reneged on the deal, despite the fact that they changed it 3 times. So we never ended up getting the machine. It took me another 4 months to get my refund of my deposit back, and I didn't get 100% refund either, even though it was those guys that had changed the deal on me 3 times. So yeah, I know. I appreciate that their processes would change because COVID was a thing and that was all happening at the same sort of time. But that's not my fault. We had a deal in place. I had a contract in place. I had a signed contract from both of them. If I'd have thought about it better at the time, I could have probably enforced that through the small claims court because we had a contract in place. But yeah. It was a long time to get my refund back. So that meant that the CNC machine went on hiatus, and I got really frustrated with it. I actually called Salvan one day, and I'm not the type of person who cries very often, just because I'm not naturally that type of person. But I was almost in tears with him just about how stressed out I was over it. He was an absolute godsend with Salvan at the time. He was kind of keeping me on straight and narrow. He'd been telling me what tools to buy, what electricity power I needed, how to set the machine up, what coolant to buy, all of these other kinds of things. And he was just really, really good. So yeah, if Salvan ever sees this, thank you so much, Salvan, for the support you gave me at that time. It was very difficult and very frustrating. Okay, I can never pick this out. I don't know why I always try, but I can never actually pick them out. There we go. Move all this aside, and then we can put the workpiece back in and get ready to cut the next file, which is actually for a separate order, I think. I think the next one is going to be for the larger order, so we'll see in a second. I think all of these being for 1 plate so far. I think the next one actually got 3 plates in it. We'll see in just a second. There we go. Yeah, it was a bit of a shit show. It was horrid, but it was a process I had to go through, and now we've been through it. We've come out the other side a little bit stronger. So every day is a school day, guys. Okay, time to do the next order then. So let me just check the order number I need. Okay, interestingly enough, that order isn't there. Okay, great. Why is that order not there? Okay, let's put that to the back of the pile. Perhaps these are files that I need to dig out from somewhere. Let me take a look at these. The last 2 orders. Yeah, okay, so it looks like the last 2 orders I need to find some different files for. So I think that is actually prematurely the end of the stream, guys, because I have streamed me cutting everything I can for today. Let's flip back over to the other camera for a second. So yeah, I think this is the last one I can do. So once we post-process this, that is going to be the end of the stream. But that is what it is. We'll find someone to raid in a minute. I do appreciate you guys being here. If you guys have got any questions or you want to ask me anything before the stream ends, now's the time to get it in, because we are running out of time quickly. And I need to go and check where these files are so I can cut them tomorrow. Okay, almost there on post-processing this. As I say, all of these do get cleaned down before they get shipped to customers as well. Okay, and that's there. That's 10 orders we've made today for customers. 10 orders in one stream. Okay, let's find someone to raid. If you guys have got any suggestions, let me know. Let me know who you think. I'm going to take a look and see who is streaming right now in the Makers Crafting channel and pick someone fun to raid. It doesn't have to be keyboard related content. Oh wow, Swift Hammer is actually colouring in at the moment. Am I getting a G on F284? Yes, I am, yes. Very nice, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We've raided Disastertron a couple of times recently, so I'm not going to raid Disastertron, but I think we're going to raid Swift Hammer, who is actually doing some colouring in. So yeah, that's who we're going to raid right now. I'm going to drop them a follow, and then I'm going to come back to Twitch, and we'll give them a raid. So thank you very much for being here, guys. I do appreciate your time, as always. I'll see you again soon. Do you always work such long hours? I do, yeah. I'm always in the workshop, 19 hours a day on average, yeah. It's just one of those things. But thank you so much for being here, guys. Let's go and raid Swift Hammer and see what they're doing. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it, guys, and I will see you again next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.